They say hindsight is 20.
Good morning and
2020 is the year we get back to
welcome to the patch notes. We're gonna adjust the volume and everything soon.
2017 state and an all-new Joust map integrating the best.
But first we get the trailer.
Classic Joust.
For Classic Joust, which we already know. I guess.
Smite Pro League coming back to multiple platforms. Plus the return of community streams to broadcast.
Community streams,
But
huh?
we need one big announcement.
We had that the whole time. What?
Together. One BA.
So you need a BA. Well, here's one BA. RT.
Ha!
We're in here.
It was true. Nice. Nice. I heard through the grapevine.
That's right, everybody. Bart, returning to the promised land here.
Okay,
in the land
make
of
it louder.
Your favorite Patch Notes host ever is not here today. I'm here though, so that's you kind of do with what you got. Welcome in to the update.
I don't know why
everybody,
there's
and
so
for
quiet.
more
I'm sorry.
details on what
I'm turning them
Bart's
up,
doing
but
here with the high-res team, of course, we've got to bring in Alex, brand manager for Smite, and Avrin, of course, as well, part of the community team. But we'll get to Avrin in just a little bit. Alex, let's start with you. Obviously, it's very exciting that Bart is coming back, a huge part of the community in the story of Smite over its history. What is Bart's
Let's turn
role
myself
going to
down
be
a
with
bit.
the team?
Yeah, so
I don't know why
as we
they're
said at
so
the end of the
quiet.
video there, Bart's going to be leading the high-res productions team. So everything that you formerly knew as Skillshot, so all live broadcasts, all esports, shows like this, you know, we're trying to bring back something kind of similar to high-res TV with more community-focused shows. So anything that comes out of our studios here, Bart's going to be in charge of. And I think we're all just really excited to have him back. You know,
oh,
he's
like
been,
the shows.
working on the other coast
Okay.
for the last few years, getting a lot of practice in this area, and so excited to see the learnings that he brings from his time at YouTube here with his love for Smite and the high-res community, and see where he takes us.
Yeah,
Wonder what
definitely
happened at
feels
YouTube,
like
though.
A return back to the high res of old. I mean, if you watched our high res presents video or anything like that, just the last show that we just did. I mean, Tom in a referee outfit saying preposterous things. A return to form is what we're going for season 7.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen more and more. High res is what we are, and we're best when we're high res and not trying to be something we're not. You know.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do more of the things that we know the community loves.
True.
Get back to our roots and have more silly shows like
Good.
the one you just saw. By the way, my chest was the best. Please vote for me on the straw poll.
Yeah, pandering to the audience.
Keep
Never
the
done.
funny
For
stuff.
everybody, Alex. Avrin, speaking of next year and all the great things we're going to be doing,
But keep
a
the
lot of
balance like
changes
last
coming for esports in 2020.
Mostly.
Let's go over some.
Except
Yeah, I'm
Meta-
so excited
Meta
about
balance.
the Bart thing. I used to write about him, and now I get to work for him. I'm a little.
I don't know why they're also
Sorry,
quiet. I don't know what they
yeah,
did today.
But, so first of all, I want to thank the fans for an amazing HRX. You know, the energy in that building was astounding, and a huge congrats to SK on their win. That's the Cinderella story that we all wanted, and that was really amazing to watch. But it is time for 2020, and we are ready to dive right in. We've made all of our 2020 announcements for all esports, so we have announced the Smite Pro League, which is gonna look pretty similar to Season 6. We're making a couple of format changes to make the season-long experience feel a little bit more satisfying. But most importantly, we are going back to Twitch.
That's right.
We're going to be 100% platform agnostic for all of our broadcasts, meaning we will be on Twitch, Mixer, Steam, and YouTube. So wherever you want to watch
Let's watch it on
you can stay
Steam.
now. We're also moving back to weekends and afternoon broadcasts so that the maximum amount of viewers will be able to get their eyes on the Pro League games live as they're happening.
That's a good move.
Really, really exciting stuff. But we're also kind of revamping our amateur scene a little bit. We have sort of done away with the Smite Minor League and the Smite Console League as we knew them, and we have announced the Smite Challenger Circuit and the Smite Open Circuit. So we are creating this complete sort of amateur ecosystem with 4 relegations per year, 4 lands per year with a good amount of prizing attached to them. And there will be plenty of opportunities for people to come into open entry brackets and then have an opportunity to come compete on land, compete against Challenger Circuit teams, and get really, really valuable studio experience that'll help them kind of start their long-term careers.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Which is
and
miserable
of course,
for
the SPL staying
LC.
a lot like the same that we saw last year. Every game still being played on LAN, and a couple new orgs joining us as well this year.
Yes. We have 2 new orgs coming in. We have Ghost Gaming and Rogue Esports. We're excited to have them back. or we're excited to welcome them to the league,
Yeah.
and we're also excited to welcome back 6 of the orgs who were with us in Season 6. We will have E-United, Renegades, Space Station, Rival, the Pittsburgh Knights, and Obey Alliance coming
No
back.
Dignitas,
So you
though.
can spend another year on the battleground with us.
It's gonna be a sick year. There's no doubt in my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, already the roster turmoil is starting to happen. We're starting to hear rumors behind the scenes, and I think you guys are gonna have an absolute blast. It's gonna be crazy. Of course, there are gonna be some more details coming out on the esports website.
Yes. So we are going to do a live Reddit AMA. We're going to have some video content coming out, and obviously the Bard announcement is huge, and we have a couple of other big announcements still up our sleeves yet to come. So keep an eye out for that. Most of that will be coming out around after Thanksgiving, early December.
Okay, first few weeks of December, make sure you're tuning into esports.smitegame.com. That's the place to go if you want to see all that information. Guys, thank you very much for joining us here on the casual set. We've got Finch and Pon standing by to go over some balance stuff and some other news in the Smite realm.
Kukulkan nerfs?
Aggro. It turns out that Bart's not the only host that you all are missing.
He's
out
even
today.
more quiet. What is
Your
this?
audience had to make do with me and Aggro at least for today. I am joined here
there
on
you
the
go.
desk by Pon though. We're gonna be going through some updates. Pon right here next to me. Happy to have you here, man. Going through some updates. Part of Project Olympus. Not really so much bug fixes, I would say, but more like features and such like that that are gonna be coming in.
We do have bug fixes, but they'll be on the patch notes on the actual website. This is more about going over a pretty big feature that we actually have coming to the game.
Yeah, it's exactly right. We're going to be having that full mouse and keyboard support that's going to be added in now. Now, obviously, that's not so much for PC, right? That's more on the console side of things.
Oh, really?
There is going to be some shifts going to be happening on the PC side, too. Pon, I guess just kind of big picture, break me down with it. This is huge, right? I mean, if you're on console now, being able to play on a whole new peripheral really does open up a lot of doors.
Yeah, so when you get into game, you'll be able to actually choose what peripheral you want to play with. So if you're on PC client, you can choose controller. If you're on console, you can choose a keyboard and mouse. And the way it'll work is you'll actually go to a setting, you'll choose what you want, you'll have to do an input to show that you're on that one, and then it'll switch over everything so that you're playing on that specific input.
Right.
And the big thing here is we're also going to matchmake you and actually do like matchmaking around what your input is, not necessarily your console. So now PC players who play on keyboard and mouse and console players who play on keyboard and mouse, we match together. PC players who play with a controller and console players who play with a controller play together. And so this just makes it so that everyone has their ability to choose what they want to play with, choose what group of players they want to play with, and it's just a really exciting feature coming to Smite.
I mean, this is awesome. I know a lot of people that like to play on consoles because it is more accessible. A lot of the times your family might even already have one. A big PC might be hard to swing. But now the only pitch you got to make here is, a keyboard and mouse. I can hop in there, maybe play with some of the big boys too. So I think this is a huge deal.
Yep, and the big thing to note here is this is a really big undertaking. And so in PTS, there's going to be people will play on PTS for PC. If they choose to play with a controller, we encourage that, mess around with the feature. But also, if they notice anything different with their inputs, if they notice that something's changed, something doesn't feel quite right, definitely let us know ASAP. The intent is, if you're on PC and you're just using your keyboard and mouse, it should be the exact same experience.
PC controller support at the moment is horrible, though. It doesn't.
Looks very different.
It's not good at all.
That's not intended. We're going to be working to fix that.
You can't even do the
that you see, definitely
controller
make a point of
layouts,
it.
I think.
And again, also, if you're on console, since we don't have a console PTS, if you are in live and you play on this that day, and there's any issues that pop up, we are willing to hotfix to actually identify those issues and get them resolved as quickly
I
as
thought they're going to give us
Sounds
console
like that's something we're
PTS.
trying to make sure that we're
Sick.
on top of. Pon, you always love to hear that, so that's exciting. That crossplay changes as well as the full mouse and keyboard support. Those do kind of tie in all together. I would sort of say. Yeah, I think that we've kind of hit the big notes. Anything else you want to make sure I didn't leave out on this one here?
There's definitely some specific notes for the matchmaking stuff, and I would definitely refer to the patch notes document that'll have all the full details. But for example, like you won't be able to use keyboard and mouse by Xbox only or PS4 only mode is enabled. These options will force you to use the gamepads. There's caveats like that within the system. So definitely, if you're interested in this and you're interested in trying different input types, definitely go read the patch note show so you can get or patch notes doc and read all the details.
And just because I have a controller plugged in, I'm not automatically using gamepad. You got to go enable it.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where you enable it and then you have to A and then it changes all stuff. Yeah.
And so that means that you can still have that option. But if you're using a gamepad for input, you're with gamepad. If you're using keyboard and mouse, you're with keyboard and mouse. That's how we're going to be looking.
Yeah, what happens if you don't
forward.
check it?
But that's not the only thing that's going to be changing here. Let's start to move into some balance, the nitty-gritty, I suppose, here, Pon. We're starting with item balance. Post-Worlds, as you said, we saw a lot of stuff
Kukulkan nerf,
happening at the
please.
SWC. Not a ton here, but I do think that we should talk about it. This is kind of our last update for Season 6, right? And I think in that context, there's not a whole lot that's going to be changing dramatically with items in particular as we're starting to get ready for Season 7.
Yeah, we're in full swing with Season 7, so we kind of know what's going to be coming up. So we wanted to really just focus on anything that we could do for the last patch of Season 6, focus on any quality of life changes we could make, anything that showed up in Worlds that was a pretty large change in like how players are playing. Make sure we address that so that going into Season 7 we had a good basically baseline.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming here in Season 7, too, that we've already had a chance to talk, to kind of show at Hi-Res Expo. Hopefully, you all had a chance to take a look at that as well. Some stuff coming up with the new Joust map that's going to be happening as well. That's going to be kind of a mix in between of the old Joust map and the new one that you all have gotten to know and love. So that one's very exciting to me. I'm a big 3v3 main myself. There's a lot of good stuff coming up in Season 7.
Yeah, it's exciting. Definitely look at the keynote and anything that we sent out during SWC for more information on that as well. And then we'll have more as we get closer.
Exactly right. A lot of stuff from that Season 7 to make sure that you all are on top of before those big changes start to come through. Now, one item change we do actually have here for you that we can go ahead and talk about. This is this change here to Jade Emperor's Crown. And this has become a pretty popular item, especially for a lot of our solo lanes. In particular, let's be honest, Jormungandr uses this item a lot,
Jormungandr with this item was just incredibly potent. We knew this item was strong, and we saw the pro players really pick up on it and start using it a lot. We figured this was an item that, with what we saw at Worlds, was worth a more immediate adjustment. And so you can see that we've reduced the power reduction.
I'm surprised they reduced it by 10 and not by 5.
The item, tone it down a little bit, bring it a bit more in the line in those situations. Still strong, but a little bit easier to manage.
There's always this competition with Sov otherwise, but
on the item itself, it's this aura in particular that's reduced. We saw a lot of times.
It's different now
Physical jungler,
because
physical solo laner with gank
used in solo.
Very little damage. The Jade Emperors was just really, really strong in that case. That's been touched down just a little bit, and that should do it here for us with items at the very least here, Pawn. But there is going to still be a good amount of God balance that is on the way. And the very first one here on the list is Camazotz. And from what I'm seeing here, Pawn, looks like Camazotz actually getting a good amount of love here this time.
Yeah, Camazotz has been kind of lower on the totem pole this whole year. He was really he came in as like a counter to King Arthur. But outside of that, he hasn't really seen much use. And so we wanted to focus on what makes
Camazotz has a lot of potential in the current meta, in my opinion, just stat-wise.
So we've done a lot of buffs here to his self-sustain, like Essence Drinker getting increased passive
insane scaling
on his lifesteal and healing. He also has Vampire Bats, which will increase the vampirism buff from 3% to 4%. So he's just getting overall more healing. And the other big change here is the Devourer range. So his Devourer is a very short leap, but now we're going to make him more like an assassin. That leap is going to be better to actually close the gap and chase targets. So beware of Camazotz. He'll be
That's huge.
I think so too, man. This gives Camazotz a lot more flexibility in how you play him, right? The life will be there for him. The Devour allows you to get
That's gigantic. That also makes maxing it worth it more.
Out there that are excited. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more of him. Now, we already talked a bit about
we will probably see a lot more of him.
The next one we're going to be changing. We mentioned him with the Jade Emperor's
I am shooketh.
But we're actually doing some changes to him too, and it looks like the passive immovable increased damage taken from 10% to 15% when the debuff is active there for Jormungandr.
Yeah, so there's a lot of characters that kind of rely on their ability to push and pull targets or to knock back and knock up.
I think that's fair.
To really control the lane dynamics. And Jormungandr just ignores it all. That's the passive. He's immovable. But we did add a component where when he gets hit by them, he's not just completely immune. He does take a little bit of bonus damage. And we felt the counterplay for basically immuning that knockup wasn't quite equal. It wasn't much of an equal trade. And so we're increasing that damage that he's going to take so that he's a bit more easy to fight, especially against characters that have multiple knockups or multiple things that are being immune by this effect.
That's right. We've already seen gods who have really good ganks up against Jormungandr, the ones who proc this passive. Now that same passive will be even stronger. So hopefully this wouldn't take Jormungandr out. Just bring him back in line a little bit more.
Yeah, give more counterplay options.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good decision, I think.
When you're going up against him. But that's Jormungandr. Next up is Kukulkan.
Yes!
And he has suddenly popped up here in the meta, hasn't he? I do think those whirlwind changes the goal, right? He is way more popular.
I think for a few reasons.
But it does seem like he's getting played everywhere, getting played all the time. So these changes make some sense to me. The whirlwind, it's a partial revert on whirlwind application time, as well as a partial revert on the whirlwind damage. What can you tell me about this, Pawn?
Yeah, so he went from being a little bit underwhelming to the most winning god in the game, and clearly everyone was like, yeah, he's actually really strong now. He definitely feels much stronger. There's a middle ground there, right? Like if he was underwhelming with previous numbers, he was a little bit too strong with these numbers. We can find a middle ground there to make sure that he feels a bit more responsive on the tornado application, as well as the damage being a bit more fair.
Exactly right. That increased refresh application time from 0.25 seconds to 0.35, so a little bit more time to work with there.
Very good.
The damage is decreased per tick from 10 to 50 to 9 to 45. So these aren't huge, I wouldn't say.
This
I
have.
Nudge him back
Right, let me think.
More, bring him back in.
He's still stronger than he was before the buff occurred.
Yes, for sure. At this point, still stronger than that at the very least. That'll do it for Kukulkan. Kukulkan. Those are some of the big changes. A couple.
Hey,
not
see that he
too huge
loses
ones, but certainly
5 per
could have some
tick.
implications coming up next.
If he has 10
has
ticks, then
had
it will be
his
gone.
his base power
Because he got an extra
increased
tick.
from 40 to 38. What's this here with Olorun getting a little?
I'm not
bit
sure how
of-
many ticks the ability
So
has though.
We've seen just a lot of major DC changes in general, and Olorun is kind of the one most sensitive to that because he has his early game ability as
Well,
well.
he
as
still
late game scaling
stacks
that,
Spear of the Magus quicker, so it's still
kind of
better.
Exacerbate those changes a little bit, and so throughout the season
Well,
we've watched
has
that
more
him
effect
kind
from
of
it.
evolve with these changes.
I think.
And so we've been adjusting his base damage accordingly. Right now, his early game
Interesting.
is a little bit too
Good
for
changes.
How good he gets in the late game. We're just bringing that down a little bit. So
I'm
he's
glad
a
they
little
did that.
easier to box
That
and
was the
get
right
far
response
ahead
to
as
the
early as
issues.
Well,
Like
and that's the theme I'm
the
noticing.
right type of nerf.
How
I'm very
they
happy
play
with
a
Hyros
little
here.
bit
Very
stronger.
good job.
These guys, Olorun in the early game should be a little bit weaker. ZiSotto.
Recognize
I
the
like
issue.
What I'm hearing there. at
Go
least
back
for
on what you
Olorun.
did
And
before a little
up
bit,
is
but don't
set.
destroy him.
And he's been popular even in the ADC role.
So Olorun didn't get
Set
anything?
all
What?
over the place.
Yeah, that was fun to see.
Yeah, you like seeing him being taken over there when he can work. That change for him is going to be on Skewer. It increased the
Set.
cooldown from 7 seconds to 8 seconds. Just going to decrease how often this can happen.
Yeah, this is what, especially the top end players who can really make use of the clones and aim that skewer and use it on cooldown to get really aggressive poke. They make the most use out of this.
Right.
And that's really what we're targeting. Is we're seeing that very high end set players who can use this all the time. Oop, a little bit of a fall.
Yep.
The set players who can use this all the time, they're the ones that are really pushing him into these lanes and really bullying people. So this will tone that back. People have more options, more opportunities to avoid it, and less opportunities of being poked in general.
Shouldn't have to worry about it quite as often. And then what I would say is our biggest change perhaps
Yes.
here is going to be with this next one. Yemoja is the next one up.
I'm
And
gonna
I
show
would
us the
say that
Olorun
these
change.
are all largely buffs here for Yemoja, trying to bring her a little bit more in line. And a lot has changed. So, Pawn, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Yemoja just in general
Yeah.
here before we move into it. What made you want to come in and adjust her a bit?
So I think the big thing here is we've noticed that this season we've had a lot of characters that have this like higher skill ceiling overall.
She's hard.
And we've watched people like have to learn these characters and really like grasp with their mechanics and figure out what's going on. And we've also, in general, they've been released a little bit weaker, as well as we've just watched how they perform over time rather than doing immediate buffs or nerfs. And this has actually worked really well for us the whole year. And so Yemoja's no exception. Yemoja releasing a little bit weak on the low end, actually kind of more on a lot on the low end. But we want to watch and see how people played with her. And the big thing we noticed were two major things. One is her skill shots were hard to hit.
Yes.
They are just different shapes. They have some extra components about how they scale.
Not a lot of other
overall.
abilities that fire the way Yemojas do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, very
And
unique.
so we noticed that she was just not dealing as much damage as other characters, even though her kit would suggest that she could. And we also saw people not liking being pigeonholed into one specific build to get Omi. You had to build up to 600 mana, I believe, and MP5 to actually get all 3 stacks. And so that's what we're really targeting with these changes, is we're looking at making Omi a bit more accessible overall. Now only one of the Omis is going to be locked behind mana, and the rest are going to be gained per level. So maybe you can't rush it as quickly as possible, but you also don't have to build certain specific paths to get your Omi online. And then we're also increasing the actual radius of her 2 1s, both the 1A and 1B, so that they are a bit more easy to hit, a bit more reliable, allowing players to actually land those more successfully. We saw even like top-end players were having a hard time hitting that ability.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for bringing in some of that variance. You felt like you had to build like the cooldown boots, breastplate all the time with Yemoja to get that mana online, but this should open it up.
Yeah, consistency is key here.
Yes, I think that's what that is. It's going to even that out a little bit. So like you said, reaching level 4 and 12, that's how you get that bonus Omi 1 and 2, and then for bonus Omi 3, you do still want some mana in here, but 300 I think pretty easy to kind of come by. You're not necessarily
that's all right.
pigeonholed into one specific build.
And I would argue best play of Valor, especially just with her kit in general, is like a really good item anyway.
Yes.
So
Yeah, not by accident that I think is good there for her. Another change here, just want to make sure that we hit on it really quickly. Not allowed in those infinite, or in the match of the day modes with infinite mana. Obviously, Yemoja with that interaction, very strong.
Permanent stun lock with the ones, and also with that, we're doing King Arthur as well. King Arthur has been in that mode for a while. He can get into a state where he can ultimate just repeatedly over time. That's another character that broke the rules in a lot of ways.
That should be
when you
a lot
combine
easier
that
to hit,
rule breaking
actually.
with match of the day rule breaking, you get
This is so
some
slow.
interesting interactions. We're just not going to let that happen anymore.
Yeah, just a heads up for you all, those won't be in that mode anymore. As you're seeing down here, Bouncing Bubble, this is what you mentioned earlier, has had that radius increase from 12 to 14. A bit of an odd ability with that second bounce and everything. This should make that a little bit easier to hit. And then Moonstrike, which you already mentioned, had the increased minimum radius increase from 10 to 12. Now,
That should also, that should even bigger. That makes it a lot easier to
When
hit.
it's closer, it's smaller. When it's further, it's larger.
Right.
It was
So this means
way
that
easier to juke.
Even when you're using it, when it's at that closest range, it should be a little bit easier to hit than it was before. And then Mending Waters, I think, largely considered one of her strongest abilities. This one appears to have also been getting a little bit of love. The increased healing from 20 to 100 to 30 to 130. So that's a pretty decent amount of healing you get towards the end of that one. It seems like increased.
Yeah, and this is really focused on, we actually looked at her healing stat overall, and it was a bit lower than we kind of expected, as well as we also know that she has to constantly make this trade-off of, do I use my Omi on healing or damage or movement? And so you want to make sure that, especially since the ones are going to be more
I think Yemoja might be worth playing.
That the healing also felt impactful.
Well, I like it, Pawn. Just about everything here sounds
Aside
like
of her level 1 combo that was good before, but
increasing consistency and taking away some of that extra variance.
She might do some stuff now.
I think we kind of nailed this balance section, man.
Awesome.
Anything else you wanted to make sure that we hit on before we throw it back over to Aggro, unfortunately?
I mean, I'm just excited for Heimdallr coming up.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Amped.
Make sure that you all are sticking around. New God going to be talked about a little bit later on in the show, but unfortunately, this is not the new God. I got to send you all back over to Aggro.
Geez, sorry, Finch. Didn't know it was going to be such a problem for you to throw it back over to me, but I'll do my best, I guess.
You've got some Viking-like features.
Yeah, I know. I think I can do the job okay, but luckily I'm not alone here. We've got Tyler, we've got Chris, we've got Fishman joining us. It's time to go over some of the Odyssey skins coming up next. We're going to start it off with one that
I just want to see Heimdallr.
that I've been playing a lot of as of late, which is Achilles. If you watch Belair and the way that he played it at the World Championships, you've probably been spamming it too. We're going to kick it off with Soul Piercer Achilles. And we've got a lot of skins for you here today, so let me let you know right off the bat.
Achilles has some pretty nice skins.
Last patch of
like,
season 6, a little bit of a longer downtime.
I just kind of realized that recently. They got a lot of cool skins.
Extra skins to show you. I'm sure you.
A lot of edgy skins though.
Especially when they're gonna look this good.
Lots of content this patch. That's for sure.
Lots of it. We've got plenty of skins to go over, but this one in particular, I'm excited for. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Soul Piercer Achilles.
I'll try to keep my temper under control.
Oh, that's better.
These other gods are already getting to me. When I get angry, I'm supposed to count backward from 10, but I count kills instead. Do you want to be a charred corpse? Because taunting me is how you end up.
I like the demon form.
So we've done some form shifts with Achilles before. He's got the one where
kind of hard to tell which one he's in though, I think.
Form, you got a couple of things like that. This one, pure demon.
Yeah, lawful evil presence for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then like man demon, sort of in between for him there. I'm here for it, man. I love these little forms with Achilles skins.
Terrifying. And both forms, the artist Quinn did a really good job on these. It's really, really terrifying.
All the effects read well, and they've got this like fiery theme to them that I'm really liking.
The effects are way louder than the voices.
Yeah, you know.
That's the only thing in the patch notes that's loud today.
Well, we're just guessing more.
But the balance between their mics is a lot better, so I guess it works out.
Is just one of those gods that it needs to flow really well and have all of his sort of movements in form kind of be very readable. And I think that this does it really, really perfectly.
Yeah, this is this maintains like that kind of agile like silhouette that we really like for Achilles stuff. But really badass, just aggressive looking demon. Super cool.
Absolutely.
Just amazing, honestly.
Yeah,
really like that.
I like the profile of the spikes and the shape of the shield. Like it, even though the shield is a defensive thing, it has a very like aggressive profile to it. I like it.
Perfect.
Is that an eyeball on his chest? Is that
Yeah. I mean, well, you need to be able to see a little bit more down in hell. I know you guys haven't been there yet, so like I'm just trying to help you out.
Sure. It's dark.
That's very important down there. Yeah, especially one a little bit lower than the typical head. So this is actually perfect spacing.
Yeah, no, that's cool because I know we do like gems a lot and that kind of thing as like a body accessory. So the idea of like an eyeball, I don't know, something about that is really, really cool and kind of different from what we usually do.
I'm not sure if that skin adds that much over the other edgy skins he already has. The animations are kind of similar. It's not bad, but
no one has an eyeball in their chest, and you're like, that guy's probably cool.
Yeah,
you know, that guy's chill.
We should go for coffee.
Yeah, right? Exactly. You know what that guy's about if he's got an eyeball in his chest. So I think that it gives you the form that very nicely. All right, next up, Shadow Step Mercury is next up. Again, these are all part of the Odyssey.
Oh, he looks like a World of Warcraft rogue.
A couple weeks ago, and I have been waiting.
Except for the
not so patiently for it.
Nets on his arms.
Yeah.
Just based on the
What's up with that?
It's got such a unique silhouette. Like it's really iconic. Like
what?
you can see this guy in his own game. You know what I mean?
Easily.
Yeah. With that hair. For sure.
He's got some really good product on that hair.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what's going on with this guy. All right, let's take a look at him in game and listen to the voice pack.
That last fight was a bore. Hope these foes put up a better challenge. Who needs to be stealthy? If you move fast enough, no one can see you anyway.
Not bad, not
I've
bad.
spent years training in the ninja way, only to face someone so underwhelming.
He's got protagonist voice too, guys. That's, I mean, we're really doing it right away.
Oh yeah, I like it. I think.
What time is his show on?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, it's very funny. Normally we get these little notes, and it's supposed to say new anim. This stands for animation, but there's a typo that says new anime,
basically,
to match new proportions.
I didn't even realize there's a typo.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I was like, oh yeah, he's got a new anime coming out. I'll buy it. Yeah.
I'm tuning in right away. Yeah. It's been far too long. I don't think we have enough ninja skins because ninjas are just outright cool.
Hey, what is this new animation though?
Every god in the 100 to get a ninja skin.
I like the scarf.
Yeah, the scarf is perfect. The made you look kind of like rear back that he has on that animation is really perfect.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I can't get over how like iconic he looks. Like I really
like the
love
animation of
this
the
color
one,
scheme. It's
the effect, the comic effect. It's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, you can definitely tell a little bit of a different. He looks a little bit like it's a different run animation. He's a little bit bulkier almost. It seems like a lot of work went into adjusting him from his normal form to make work for this skin.
Totally. There's
I didn't even notice that.
A lot of,
Now it's throwing me off.
Gotten really tight knit between the rigging, the animation, and the modeling teams to pull off this kind of thing. And yeah, it's true for a lot of these kinds of skins. There's a lot of rework that goes into the rig and that kind of thing. So it worked out really well here.
I'm digging it. There it is. It's Shadow Step Mercury.
I like the white hair too.
Yeah, of course.
Got some flair. Yeah.
Gotta love that. Next up, Crystal Faye Isis. Next up on the list. She's the Stones Keeper of the Fae Kingdom, collector of beautiful things, and guardian of the Royal Vault.
Gorgeous.
Now, normally Tina would be on here. I'd have to go into a little bit of detail on the Royal
That could
Vault,
be good. I see the wings in game.
This is for Isis to know and for us to find out.
Yeah, aren't you glad you get to do the lore now?
Yeah. Yeah, so in the Royal Vault. Oh, sorry, I was just about to go into it, but they told me that the in-game stuff is ready, so we got to go to that right now. Unlucky
Don't have
for
enough
us.
time, unfortunate.
So close.
What?
Stones are my livelihood. I will protect them with my life. What happens if you cross a werewolf with a fae? A hairy fairy.
Oh god.
Stay back. This moonlight stone holds untold powers.
There you go. That's all the lore you need. Feel like
there
everything.
you go.
Hairy fairies. What else do you want?
There you go.
Look at these gorgeous wings.
Yeah.
Like, there's
So this is the first skin on the new Isis
She
model.
looks. Oh, I like the two.
Setting the bar high. These wings.
She looks more girly than
are
expected.
absolutely amazing, and the effects on these abilities. I mean, just even the effects targeters on the ground before you start throwing.
Yes, the two look so
That is
good.
a huge part for me of which skin I'm gonna use. I'm loving this skin already. I love it.
I really do think throughout
also
2019 and going into the new year, we've like really stepped up some of the art on these skins. I mean, this is just gorgeous.
I'm sorry. You decide what skin you use by the targeters?
Partially, yeah. Listen, it's all together, you know.
Oh, that crystal shadow.
Comprehensive picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you want nice, like, crisp targeters so you can know that you're running abilities.
It looks cool. I am starting to put more abilities on instant cast these days, so it matters to me less now than it used to. But like, if I'm just hovering, if I'm walking the lane and I hover this first, you know, the wing gust, and I like the targeter that I'm looking at, it's gonna make me happy on the inside. You know,
That's cool.
That's gonna set me up to do well in lane. You know, it's a mentality thing.
Take just a moment to talk about the staff too. Like
Yeah, the
I
staff
really
very
love the
different.
look of the staff.
And the headpiece behind.
I just care about the two. That's what I really like about this skin. That the rest is like, yeah, but
When she's not.
this glass shadow is so cool.
Her wing gust. It like disappears.
Should have that on all our skins like that.
And it just disappears. She doesn't need it. She places it on the ground for her ultimate, and then she
sure. Yeah.
She's
snaps
done.
it out. She
Yeah.
puts it in the Royal Vault and
That's
then pulls it
right.
out.
Boom,
That's
yeah.
part of her
Stones Keeper rules. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris.
As the
It's in the
lore
vault.
says,
You're
we
right.
all
Try
know.
to keep up.
Keep up, man.
Very fair powers.
Wait, since when are we looking at Gods in Arena, by the way?
What if Pond just
Interesting.
ends the game before we can get through all
Appealing
this?
to the main audience.
You got a hard time.
No one's playing Conquest anymore.
Yeah. Witchbane Izanami is next up on the list. This one.
Oh, that was the
very
skin we saw.
different Izanami look.
Okay.
But I am in the market for new glasses, and I think I'm getting a little bit of inspiration right here. I just don't know if I could pull off.
Same, but no.
That's like Elton John glasses.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'm not so interested anymore. Let's take a look at which Bane Izanami.
I'm more interested now.
Some monsters may be immortal, but I can assure you,
Ooh.
they always have a weakness.
I dig it.
Hey, what do you call a criminal vampire? A fangster. No further movement, or I will shoot this stake right through your heart.
Now this is a very different look for Izanami.
I really
Normally,
like
she's
the voice
freaking out a
as
little
well.
bit.
The voice acting is really, really good on this
Quite
one.
sit still. This is very different for her. There's the first skin where she's
Oh,
human.
they could have gone with a different color for the
A whole
one.
bunch of changes. We internally kind of categorize this as a tier 4 skin, correct?
Yeah, a lot of changes went into animation, as y'all can probably tell. She's a lot less atrophied, I guess you could say, these days for the skin. Yeah.
I think the skin works out
shout
really well all
to
around.
Hans on the character modeling team for this model too. I love how the materials read. Just really, really a lot of presence to the skin.
Yeah, I think there is another Izanami skin that has green as one of the primary colors to her effects, but it's very different than this. And I'm sure the base model does a lot to kind of differentiate that as well. It's not that sickly green that is like the spectral Pele skin or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it has that nature to it, but it has a very different feel to me.
I call this lich green.
Yeah.
It's
a good descriptor for it.
Uh-huh.
Definitely new weapons.
I would have liked a different color, but the skin itself is really cool.
I like
the glaives.
The double. That's cool, and I like the little flipping animation she did with them we saw before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is a super cool. It's kind of crazy that this is the first human Izanami skin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
She actually is the body instead of like kind of being possessed.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
a body,
Finally can get out from under that possession.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the Mighty Storm Jormungandr.
Ah.
This Jorm skin
I've
has
seen this.
Card art.
and
Oh
that
my
is
gosh.
the headline for me.
Yeah.
Arms Jorm. He's working out.
Army Yorm. He's
You know?
no longer just a tube.
That's right.
He's there for lift day now.
He's not just a worm wiggling around. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Mighty Storm Jorm, whenever we're ready.
Dawn breaks open once again, like a delicious wound that bleeds afresh.
Oh my gosh.
The tiny
Why
arms.
are dragons the best at storytelling? Because we all have tales. Watch your tongue. Your next words might be your last.
I love this.
This is so
I'm such a
Not
tiny.
only does it, oh my, okay, you definitely forget how big he is whenever it's just that little video.
Yeah.
He is still massive,
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
which is everything you want.
The hair on the skin is so cool. There's like this has got to be some of the most work we put into like individual like clumps of hair.
Yeah.
I think the skin makes it even harder to see with him though, because the head's bigger, I think. The horns and everything.
Reminds me of a character that we used to have in Smite.
Yeah, you know, maybe just like scaled up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Mighty
certain
Storm
callback.
also kind of rings a bell. We're Bart's back. We're
Yes, we get
bringing
it.
all
It's
back
old
to
Kukulkan.
classics.
Straight from nostalgia, we're
Old Ao
reeling
Kuang.
it all in.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, a whole lot of people just got a whole streaming service.
here
for
it is.
nostalgia, so here we are. Figure may as well try it out ourselves.
Where you go, Node?
This this different effects too. On most of the other Yorm stuff, even the plushie Yorm, it's kind of a dull color on his pools. These stand out more than any other.
Yeah,
For sure.
I like that. And I like the projectiles that go back from the pool to him.
Yeah.
They don't stand out too much on other skins, but this is like, it feels good.
I like those kind of fireballs that come out of the wells.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh yeah, when he dives down too, the little explosion fireballs, the little
Yeah.
smoke trails as well. Those are great.
incredible.
I love this skin already, man.
Almost
and
looks
he's
kinda
got arms
cell
now.
shady.
Yeah.
Now he can, I don't know, eat a bowl of cereal if he wanted to. That wasn't really an option for him.
Sing karaoke. You know?
Yeah,
Get the
exactly.
microphone.
We should ask the
Play catch.
animation team about that. I want to see the bowl of cereal. That's,
Yeah. Lucky Charms.
that'd be
You know?
pretty
A
great.
pretty big one.
Rock
but
it out, yeah.
hey, nothing wrong with that. Also want to let you guys know some exciting new news. We talked a little bit a bit ago in one of the other previous update shows about some returning adventures at the end of this year. We've got a returning adventure to talk about right now.
Oh.
It's Fafnir's Wonderland,
Yes.
but without the Fafnir. Instead, with Heimdall. It's now going to be called Heimdall's Crossing. It's a lot like Fafnir's Wonderland.
Oh my God,
It's back,
yes.
but wears Fafnir. The Bifrost has opened and Heimdall is taking over the show. Fight until you fall against waves of increasingly difficult PvE encounters. Relive the zany enemies of Yuletide past and discover new challenges. Do you have what it takes to survive Heimdall's Crossing? There is a new quest as well if you play a game of Heimdall's Crossing and earn the Ferocious Hen avatar from the original event.
That was so fun.
Your good holiday cheer.
I honestly think that and Xingtian's Mountain
with your friends. It is a really good time.
was still some of the best adventures.
You certainly missed out. Now's your chance to get back in.
Definitely play that if you
Now's our
haven't.
chance to get it away from me and back over.
I
to
might
Finch
play that
on the
again.
desk.
Thanks, Aggro. Nice to get a chance to look at that new Jormungandr skin, looking pretty nice. We'll talk about some community stuff here now. Still Finch, and I'm now joined, instead of Pon, by Isaiah. How you doing here, man?
That's right, I'm doing good. How about you, man?
Doing good, dude. Happy to have you here on the desk here with me. A couple things you want to make sure that we update you all on so you know what's going to be happening here throughout these next few weeks. First things first is that this is going to be a pretty good weekend to be playing some Smite, the cutesy avatar chest, and 2 times everything weekend.
Exactly. You got a long weekend coming up with the holidays, so we want to make sure that we got stuff going on in game. Play games, get 2 times favor worshippers and XP, and then if you win 3 games, you get a cutesy avatar chest.
Yeah, not a bad deal just for playing a little bit of Smite. That's not the only thing that's going to be coming your way, though. Also want to mention that cutesy ISIS avatar submissions are now open, so you all can start sending in your own submissions, and hopefully we can get you into the game right next to some of those other ones. Some of those avatars that are in the game now are some of my favorite ones, so I hope that
they're
you
so
all keep them
good.
coming.
ISIS has a brand new look, so we want to make sure we get some new cutesy avatars to match that new look. So if you guys want to have a chance to get your cutesy ISIS avatar art into the cutesy avatar chest, go ahead and go to Smite Game.
Don't they name that often?
And this has been blowing up on Twitter. Our next thing here, man, is that the Olympian applications for next year are open right now. I feel like this is a huge success this year.
Oh, most definitely.
They got to be really well involved. Do you want to talk about them and then this process?
Yeah, first of all,
I'll talk about them
program,
once
we started it this
open,
year, and it's been
like
absolutely
once they're chosen. The first
those 9
group,
players,
so you can vote.
We've got so much insight that they've brought to the dev team, so many changes that they've had an impact on in order to make Smite the best it can be, and we're excited that we're continuing the program into 2020. Applications are open right now at smitegame.com/Olympians, and they will close on January 1st. So you've got a little bit of time, but if you're interested in serving on the Olympians next year, go ahead and head over to the website and fill out an application.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I say, you don't have to feel like you're at the top end of SPL knowledge to be someone that's here. There's representatives that cover a lot of different areas.
Most definitely.
Maybe if you're just console, or if you're more casual, whatever it is, there's a ton of different areas that we cover with this. We need representation for everyone in our fan base. So really, this should be open to you as long as you love Smite. You think you can help, you should certainly submit. Next thing up is that Dev Chest charity. Hopefully, you all saw that video coming into this, Isaiah.
Yeah,
I know
so
you
that
got
was a
yourself
fun thing
too.
that we had going on. If you guys caught the show beforehand, we have 8 devs. We're all battling it out for charity and to get a chance at an exclusive item in game. 8 devs drafted some of their top skins to go into a chest, and those chests are going to come out in mid-December. We'll have more information on the website after the show. But if you guys, the chest that does the best will have up to $25,000 donated to charity.
Oh, wow.
And then all the other charities that the devs chose will also get a charitable donation sent to them too.
Wow,
and we sent out a straw poll right after the show, and unfortunately I have to say that you guys chose the wrong answer, and you guys thought Tina had the best chest.
Oh,
I was
they
in
just voted
second
for
place.
Tina. You should've put names
I
on
wasn't
them.
far behind. But,
Maybe they
yeah.
misunderstood
So it
the
looks like
question.
you guys think Tina has the best chest, but we'll see what happens next month.
We certainly will. That is something great and a lot of fun happening on at the same time there. Love to hear it, Isaiah. The last thing to let you know is that we keep the charitable times going, is that there will be a charity stream happening on December 12th. I don't know a whole lot about this, but I imagine this is similar to like the Spring Fling type things going to be happening here in December.
Exactly, yeah. It's going to be our Spring Fling charity event, but in winter. It's called Winter Wishes. It's going to be on December 12th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh.
More information coming out shortly. So
Interesting.
Exactly right. Make sure that you keep those ears open. You want to make sure you know everything that
Interesting.
could potentially be happening with that. The Spring Fling type events are some of the most fun things, the things I look forward to a lot when I first started here as well. So make sure that you're keeping your eyes open for that one. But that's going to do it for us here on the desk, Isaiah. I appreciate you joining me here, buddy.
No problem.
We got a lot more to get through throughout this Patch Notes show. Remember, Heimdallr is going to be revealed here a little bit later on as well with an in-depth look at his kit. So we'll have all that coming at you in just a little bit.
Thank you, Finch and Isaiah, mostly to Isaiah. I don't know why. I just felt like saying that. We've got the same crew here with us to go over some more skins, except for one. Fish had to step out and go do Fishman stuff. Instead, we've got Hajiki. Certainly a worthy replacement.
Lost some hair.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a lot shorter hair
That's
than
all right,
Fish,
you know.
but it's okay.
We're not bringing Fish in for the hair. You know, that's just kind of secondary to what else he brings. So I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Less hair, more content.
Exactly right. That's what we're looking for around here. Want to remind you guys that this is going to be a little bit heavier on the skin section because this is the last update before Season 7. So, of course, we've got
I just want to see Heimdall
in here for you before Season 7 rolls around.
Wait, Season 7 in January?
Cursed Pharaoh
Nice.
Hades.
I didn't even check the
Hades,
ranked
skin
thing yet.
This skin blew me away as soon as I saw
That
the
looks
card art, man.
nice.
I love it. I do have one question, though. Is his mouth that big? Is that what I'm seeing right there?
I love Egyptian themes.
As far as I know. I mean, I guess we'll see for sure. But
I mean, I guess if you're going to be munching on souls, you got to
I thought it was just a mask.
for some big ones. And that is intimidating.
Yeah.
I will say. Let's take a look at it in-game, Cursed Pharaoh Hades.
I really wish we had more Egyptian themed skins.
Rejoice, my subjects, for your pharaoh has returned.
Oh my god, this is great.
Did you say something? Sorry, I'm all wrapped up in myself. If you will not serve me in life, you will in death.
Is that the Sand Guardian effect? Oh, the smoke.
I love these Pantheon crossover skins.
Can we have more skins with
I
smoke?
think
Oh,
they
no, it doesn't
are
have smoke.
So cool.
What?
Every single time. And this one is just a slam dunk. I mean, Pantheon crossover, undead.
They just remove
mummy
half the
pharaoh
smoke.
For
It's bad.
Hades.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Something about Hades. He's very conducive to the Egyptian thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, plus 2 mouths, an additional mouth on his belt.
That's true. Yeah, he's got to get all the points covered. Definitely a different sort of color style for Hades. A lot of times.
I actually wish he didn't have that
purple, like
demonic voice and just more like a
lot of red
stern
in a lot
voice.
of his skins. This one, a very different colored blue that I think looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat.
It's really nice. We experimented a lot with the color, and I know we really decided on that kind of sandy core to kind of harken back to the desert kind of theme. And it turned out really, really cool.
And for what it's worth, Chris, the targeter on the 2 looking really good.
You like it?
Yeah,
cool,
man.
man.
Yeah,
That's sick. Make you happy? Spark joy?
Yeah, I'm here for that one.
Sparks
for sure.
joy.
And of course, the effects once it's actually fired are solid as well. Definitely.
I do want to point out
This makes me want to wish that I could actually play Domination on
a
OC.
little more detail on the one when he comes up and his in hands. So keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
Check that out when it comes to PTS. And of course, in game. All right, next up, Cursed Bloodline Ao Kuang. This, oh man, that is not what I hadn't seen this one. This was not what I was expecting. But
I haven't seen this card yet. That's so cool.
I'm kind of here for it. Yeah, who is that?
Yeah.
That's unlucky for her.
He just is a random lady.
Or
maybe
is
she's into it. She likes it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not here to make assumptions. You know,
50 Shades of Owl.
And that's why we subbed Hajiki in for Fish. Let's take a listen to this voice back in game.
Stupid.
It has truly been years since I've had a good feast.
Oh god, his hair doesn't work though.
Have you seen Mercury
What happened
around?
there?
I am dying for some fast food. The smell of your blood is irresistible.
Thanks for that. That's a weird compliment that I've never gotten before. That fast food joke was actually pretty solid, I got to admit.
It looks kind of similar to Dragon Knight Ao Kuang from the back,
We've had some
but not the same.
vampire-themed
Similar stuff.
skins before. Baron obviously
Wanna
comes
see
to
the
mind.
dragons.
But this, he is decked in some serious armor.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, his 2 is bats.
Bats!
Yeah,
Oh!
So he's got all kinds of bats now in this
Oh.
game. They went really hard on it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean,
Does he turn into a bat?
Normally it's the dragon call, but bat call is something that I think.
Do some
I would say.
basics with the bats.
This is a different look for Ao Kuang for sure.
This is all I want in a vampire, like the giant collar, just
Yep.
like completely oversized, and like just the dark reds, and yeah.
Do it, Pon. Do it.
Do the old.
Yes, he is a giant bat.
Oh, there it is.
It's
Turns into a
Camazotz.
giant bat. Okay, that is so cool.
The Camazotz butts we've been waiting for.
Yeah,
Oh
I was
my
gonna
god.
Say, yeah, Camazotz got some love in this patch, but then immediately
Imagine
got
that and
shot down
Camazotz
by
ult
an
at
even
in the
bigger
air at
bat
the same time.
right away.
Just
All right.
his
Okay, that's
pose,
really
his-
cool.
His stance is perfectly conducive to like that vampire look, you know.
Yeah.
I love it.
The animations are really
Just
selling this one.
emanating, power. He's just better than you.
Doesn't matter if the hair looks bad from the front anyways.
Oftentimes
Can't see it
true
at the
for
back.
Ao Kuang. All right, next up, Hammerhead Vulcan.
Cool.
This is one of my favorites.
Oh, what? Is that a
How did I not-
shark?
I saw so many skins.
Like a
for this
hammerhead
patch,
shark?
And I was like, wow,
Oh, no.
there are some sick skins that people are really gonna like.
Is that-
And I managed to miss so many more sick skins. It actually is.
That's not really a
it's
hammerhead,
insane.
though.
This one, it's Shark Vulcan, man. Who comes up with this stuff, number one, and then executes it this well? I don't understand. Let's take a listen to the voice back.
Our mighty foes are...
Wow.
You? That smells fishy. You fell for that one. Hook, line, and sinker. My people are proud, and I'm gonna make them even prouder.
Just gonna say, I'm glad fish don't have feet in real life.
Yeah, it reminds me of old Poseidon feet, which always scared me a little bit.
Oh, wow, they actually look
these
weird
are
when you
just
look at
kinda
them like
scaled up.
walking.
Oh, it certainly works.
Splish splash when he walks. I love it. With the little puddles.
Dude, this is so cool and is just so.
Oh,
my
what?
God, it's an
Oh,
octopus.
yeah. Yep,
This
yep,
makes no sense. And I love it. I love everything about this.
Yeah.
I really like the animations.
But it is preposterous.
You don't see shark human.
I don't like the
often,
feet.
so-
No.
The fins on the feet look weird, but
Yeah, I guess
I really
for
like the
a reason.
animations.
He's got. Oh, is that another?
Yeah,
little
check
pet?
the meatball. It's like
The meatball.
It's a puffer fish.
It's a big blobby puffer fish. It's beautiful.
He's got his boys, man. They're not gonna let him walk out of the ocean and just start doing his thing out on the battleground by himself. They've got to come.
All just like a Blastoise Hydro
Yes,
Pump, is
he's
it?
rolling squad deep.
A school, even.
Also, these splashes are really nice on his meatball and his ultimate. It's like,
Yeah.
they're really good looking.
Really good effect, and his passive effect on him too, just kind of like the,
Yeah.
the water effect around him, looks really, really awesome.
Yeah.
This skin is so crazy, man.
A lot of the materials on his skin read really well for that too. He's got this like really specular kind
Oh
of.
no, it's actually fish again.
The scales show up.
I wish it would have just been like huge
And are those,
water
are those
blobs.
little sharks that he shoots out that are the missiles?
I think it's two more little puffers.
Little puffer fishes, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not puffed, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Different puffer fishes, so you know the
Unpuffered
difference.
fish.
Unpuffered puffers.
Well, they're gonna puff when they land. You know, it's just a little bit later.
Do you think they die every time he does that?
No. I think that they rebuild themselves from a molecular level.
Nice. Okay.
See, I
Looks
think
like they're
they're
just
already
going back
dead
into
because
water, to be
they
honest.
Can't breathe outside of the water. So he's just tossing
Look,
carcasses of people.
that octopus looks like he's breathing just fine, man. He's doing the little breathing animation. He's kind of wiggling a little bit. He can convert oxygen into from the air.
Yeah.
He's all good.
That's canon.
Yeah, that is sold. All right,
Okay.
Shadow Spectre Horse
Okay, got
is
one.
next up on the list. This one, so unbelievably
Oh.
creepy and weird. And these skins always
Oh.
freak me out the most. The Bakasura one truly has given me a nightmare before. And the Izanami and Opwatch ones are equally as creepy. And now it's like the big
I love the
bad
Bakasura's
ball,
head
you know?
tilt.
This is one of my favorite themes that we've done.
Or is it the
over the last
Izanami
few
one?
years.
Might be the Izanami one.
And
Sure. Might be
I
both.
think before, I know on the Outpush one at least, that they were a little more humanoid, whereas this one goes into the kind of creature realm.
Yeah.
I really like it.
So creepy. And every voice pack has been creepy for these so far. I imagine that Shadow Spectre Horses will be much the same.
I see you also like to live dangerously. For me, it matters not, for I exist between life and death.
Oh, he's not that
The
scary.
forest may seem bewildering to you, but I have been lost in here for millennia. Staying too long here might leave you a bit disoriented. Do be careful.
He's kind of calm, actually.
You know how
I like
badly
that
I want
voice
to talk like that?
All you need is a voice filter and to do things that are bad for your voice.
Nice.
Funny story, actually, in college, my college professor told me that I should start smoking and drinking to lower my voice. That doesn't sound like good advice for me. It happened naturally, so you don't have to do it, kids. Don't listen when they tell you that. This one is nicer than the rest, which is definitely a good theme for Horus. He's always a protector. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But you don't spend millennia walking a forest and seem normal afterwards. So I think that all of this tracks for me.
Yeah. He stays spooky, but you know he's got that protector air about him. You know?
Dude, that looks like a very new animation for his ult. His kind of posturing in the ghost form of that ultimate.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
very
That's
disconcerting in a way that makes a lot of sense for this skin.
It is. It's like he's kind of climbing above the tree line to kind of scout.
I actually like the animation on the one. Now that I see the runes in there.
Definitely like the dude you see it kind of at the end of an episode, like right as the main character's walking into the forest, like what's up? You don't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing here.
I like this one.
These runic effects too, that kind of matches.
Horus skins are really nice so far.
Super nice.
Absolutely, loving it. Shadow Spectre Horus again, the same theme as Bakasura, Izanami, and Ao Kuang. So we almost got a full roster ready to go for that team composition if you want to creep out your opponents. And honestly, all those characters work pretty well together. Horus Ao Kuang is a pretty nasty combo. All right, Illuminator Chronos is next up on the list. Chronos hasn't gotten a skin in a long time. Feels like it's certainly been worth the wait.
I don't know how to feel about this.
Alone. That is a very different look for him, and one that I'm kind of digging right now. A lot of different stuff with this Illuminator sort of vibe. We had the Baron skin that was kind of like this.
Yeah.
Looks like Chronos is doing much of the same stuff. Let's take a listen to the voice back here for Chronos.
Almost an hour before they get to Heimdallr.
Everything is a matter of perception. Even time will bend when seen from a new angle. Sorry if I seem blue. I spilled paint all over myself. Your mind is an empty husk I will fill with light.
The wing effect is cool, but it kind of doesn't fit.
I don't know if that was supposed to be nice or not.
Like it looks out of place. Oh no, it looks better from the back.
I've heard the phrase "empty husk" when describing that one before, so not the first time.
I think this glowing effect is what sells it to me.
I mean, he's already very human-like, you know, most of the time, but it's more mechanical.
Oh.
This has actually got normal human skin, I believe, for the first
that looks
time.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. I also really love. We've had a lot of good wings on this patch. These are some of my favorites. Also, just they have like a really cool materiality to them that match the effects really nicely.
Yeah, these effects are great, and it makes so much sense for Chronos. This sort of thing.
Definitely an effects-heavy skin. The base skin is not the most important part,
really
but rather the effects
still
one.
maintaining that curve that Chronos' staff normally has for the Hands of Time, with the paint time stuff, whatever that is. Could be described
I think
as.
these
That's pretty
Illuminators
decent as well.
weave the cosmos with their artistic ability.
Tina coming in with the lore.
Hey, that's what we need here on the update show, as always. We'll let you guys know that some elements are still a work in progress for this, much like the Hades skin, so look for that to be finished up when you either playtest it on PTS or, of course,
the smoke
when it
effects
goes
were
live
just not added.
into the game. But the staff alone, totally selling me on this.
Yeah, I can't get over that ult either. I love the effects on that. Just it really pops.
The colors are just perfect for him, and the 3 as well definitely stood out. Basically, every ability was perfect by the skin. Okay, next up, Lost Soul King Arthur. King Arthur.
Jeez, how long is
that has started to become
is it until the next patch with how many skins they're releasing?
I mean, in
next
his
patch
defense,
in March.
When you're looking like this, it's a little hard to not be arrogant, right?
This is I relate so much.
Right. Yeah, Chris. That's why I was looking at you. Actually, I thought that. I know you often struggle with combating these ancient powers that might corrupt you.
But it's hard.
You've been able to do a great job.
I actually check on the
for
patch
Lost
after this,
King Arthur.
like on the next one.
Quite as successful.
I'll talk about it in the patch notes review.
Definitely looking a little. I mean, King Arthur normally has got all this huge armor. Seems like a little bit stripped down here, but still has a lot of it, but a little bit more just doing it by himself because he's a beast apparently. Let's take a listen to the voice pack for Lost Soul King Arthur.
Where will today lead me? What places will I see? Whose blood will I spill? You want to see a magic trick? Fine. I'll make your head disappear.
Oh.
My sword will cleave your body. My magic will raise your soul.
Kind of doing
to like raise up or like.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's nice.
Get you a man who can do both. You know? that's what they always say. He's got the magic book on his hip too. He's kind of ready to go.
This is a fave of mine, but I'm pretty biased because I got to work on this one, and there are a lot of really cool lore elements tied into this guy. The idea that he's using this armor to stop the corruption from the sword from spreading.
It's a different sound effect for the basics. It's kind of neat.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff we came up with, and
sounds really.
These are my first time seeing the effects on this.
Really effective hits.
Really
it's a cool color scheme.
Yeah,
it's almost a bit too loud.
The runes on the ground as he's spinning.
It's like every
the
time you hit a
sword's
basic,
still
like, yep,
massive,
100%
but it
confirmed
feels
that's the basic that I landed.
Slightly bit smaller than some of his other things, and I think that the magic effects really do a great job of conveying that he still has the same hit area. It's just with a little bit of magical prowess.
Yeah, definitely want him to feel a little bit more agile. Like the armor's a little sleeker.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think it works
really well. I like the way the sword, its charged state, like the materials look really good on that as well.
Yeah. A lot of tweaking on that for sure, but I think we got it to a really good place.
Yeah, that Blade Storm effect is just awesome. So cool. King Arthur, definitely a god. When you get into that flow state, it's so fun to just go through the team fight, and I feel like this skin in particular is going to really lend itself to that same feeling. And then last but certainly not least, Toxic Current Yemoja, the newest skin for the newest god.
Oh my god.
That is dope.
She looks badass, dude.
That is so cool.
It's impressive.
The whole team wants to work on a Yemoja skin. Everybody's like itching to do it. She's such a cool goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool.
And plenty to do, I'm sure.
That
with
is
the
unexpected
bouncing of the water
somehow.
and that kind of stuff.
For sure, yeah.
The texturing of the alt. I'm a sucker for green. It's my favorite color. This definitely knocks it out of the park. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Toxic Current Yemoja.
One failed experiment, and here I am, cleaning up my messes. Might as well put my powers to good use. Did you hear that carbon and oxygen broke up? Turns out the relationship was toxic. You know, I could just melt that smile right off your face.
That's a good way to get my voice. I just have to get the face thing.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
She has.
Talking to a coffee cup.
I was wondering, it looked so blurry before, but it's actually fine.
A little bit of backstory lore, as I hope you all love it as much as I do. In this version of Yemoja, she was a top scientist who was studying Meltdown Soul. Soul escaped, and in the process, infected/corrupted Yemoja. Truly unlucky for her. But you get this cool color scheme, and you get to use toxicity all the time.
Yeah, this acid green color, really, really striking on this skin.
I honestly find the default
love
color
how
theme
the hair turned
calming.
out
This is
so
like the
much,
opposite,
tying
but
that
in a good way.
The hair looks amazing.
Oh.
She
my
actually
god,
has a
yeah.
ramp now.
Oh, hell yeah.
That
is
is
so cool.
And it's a way better
A lot
indication.
of work into that, and I'm very proud of it.
That thing is really
so
good.
cool.
Yeah,
That's a way better indication of which
That is
direction
way
you're
better
going
than
in.
base, I'm gonna say it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I did both, but that's okay.
Really, really
It's,
cool.
you know, it's cool.
It is actually way better because you
We're
can
just
see
talking
where they're
about
going really
Toxic
quick.
Yemoja, and it's working for us for sure. The lights on the ramp too,
Yeah.
like, letting you know this is the way we're going.
Yeah.
That is excellent. I have been trolled an awful lot with that ability, and now I won't have an excuse.
It's the only reason I ever play Yemoja is just to, be that guy.
It is very funny and very worth it, and also a very cool ability that I'm glad it is the way it is. And I'm not even mad every time I get trolled. I'm like, well, that's fair.
Another thing to point out is that the distance indicator on her 3 to show when it's going to send people back and when it's going to send them forward is now much more clear across the skins as well. Base will have this orange coloring as well, so there should be no confusion.
Excellent.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You're speaking my language when it comes to FX targeters.
Yeah, I know you love them.
Yeah, I sure do. That's what I'm all about. That looks amazing. And then of course the
here we
ult.
go. Here we go.
Oh, that's a different story
That
from the
is so
blue ult.
sick. The floor texture is just awesome.
I know there's like some bones floating around in that,
there
that
is.
toxic sludge, all kinds of
Yeah, I
really
think I saw
fun
some
little-
signs in there.
all kinds of fun little Easter eggs in there.
I mean, you never know what's going to be
Oh,
inside
yeah.
toxic. Oh yeah, I see a sign over there.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like, you know, we do these god reveals. We're going to do one for Heimdallr right after this. And something insane is going to be in the skin. And I'm going to be like, that is super cool, and I have no idea how we're ever going to turn that into a skin.
Right.
And then you guys, like, make toxic sludge waves, and everything is perfect. And I don't know. I always come away impressed. Thank you guys very much, of course, for joining us here. As I mentioned, Heimdallr, right on the other side. We're going to be going over him very soon.
Yes, let's go. Only been an hour. No, we got to watch the trailer again. Oh boy. Let's see how this goes. Not the trailer, the reveal. Good balance changes this patch so far. A lot of skins. Not a lot of changes in turn, actually. I wonder how many bug fixes there. Unfortunately, that will mean that the Joust crash for OCE will probably not be fixed before Christmas. But there's that. That's getting around too soon. But overall, good patch. Good patch so far. Didn't need to make any major changes because with Season 7, anything that's like weird right now will change anyways. The only thing that really needed to be nerfed heavily was Kukulkan, I think. We have another god that might need some nerfs that I'll talk about soon in a video, but not as urgent as Kukulkan. Kukulkan is definitely the top contender for a nerf here. Camazotz might be interesting. He might become very overwhelming now, we will see. Because that leap extension and all the other buffs, that's quite significant, even though lifesteal stuff isn't that strong right now because anti-heal is such a big thing. Wouldn't be surprised if anti-heal items see nerfs sooner or later.
Heimdallr, do you really think you can stop me?
That's why I'm here.
That line is so weak because it could literally mean like, I think I can't stop you and that's why I'm here. Oh, hey.
For Heimdallr to join the realm of Smite. To go over it, we've got Ponpon, we've got Nick, lead gameplay programmer, and of course, AJ with the Amaterasu hoodie. Glad to see it survive.
Nick B. I'm not high risk, I'm just Nick.
Yeah, I got it back safely.
I was
safe and sound.
I was nervous.
Got a lot of use at Atrix too. Had to double wash it.
Of course, yeah. That's the way it's got to be. Guys, Heimdallr, a god that has been asked for in Smite for a very, very long time. What made us feel like this is the right time to put him in, and what were some of the key things we wanted to hit with his lore?
I mean, I think the big thing here is he's just a character that's going to fill the role that we've been looking for. People have really been wanting a physical hunter, and he has a really unique hook that we can kind of like lay into to actually make him this unique hunter as a whole. His lore in general is there's not much actually known about him. He's kind of has very few texts writing about him. The one passage that might tell you that he's a Vanir or an Asir is unclear. He might be part of Yggdrasil. He might be born from it. He might have a part buried underneath Yggdrasil. There's a lot unknown, but the things we do know is he has very good vision. He has very good hearing. He can like hear grass growing from 100 miles away. He hears all the conversations happening.
Mentioned the sensory overload if you hear grass growing 100 miles away.
He watches over the Bifrost. And he learned it
No, make it stop.
Millennia that he's been watching it.
I want to sleep.
He's definitely the vigilant is definitely the right sort of. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility when you can hear every conversation happening. You've got to be able to pay attention, and certainly he's able to do that. I mean, I know people were surprised, but I think excited when it was revealed that he was a hunter. But the use of his legendary items is definitely a big key for us as well.
Yeah, these legendary items are very key to his lore. His sword is a named sword. The Gjallarhorn is the horn that's blown to actually signal the beginning of Ragnarok, the biggest event in kind of Norse mythology. And the Bifrost as a whole, there's a lot of unknowns about it, its power, its reach, what it can and can't do. And so we were able to explore all that in his kit, which is really fun.
Absolutely. We do have the card art for you here as we get ready to go in-game very soon with Heimdallr. This guy must have said something messed up, and you already know he heard it, you know?
He must have approached the Bifrost. Don't do that.
You cannot be doing that.
Don't do
Let me know in the comments if you think it
combat
should be
very seriously,
Bifrost
but
or
he's also,
Bifrost.
like,
Hey!
a very reliable ally. One of his key lore points, he's known for having the best mead in all of the Norse gods, so people are happy to join him for a drink, and he would be kind to you. But when it comes time to fight, he's very serious, he's very dutiful, so if you try to cross that bridge without permission, you're going to get the axe.
Yeah, you think like Rainbow Bridge, nice and inviting, it's going to be cool.
You're going to get the axe, but he's not actually going to hold you like that. He's just going to go at a distance, walk away a little bit, and then throw it at you.
You sure cannot. We can, however, waltz right into the game.
Yes! Let's go.
Heimdallr's kit. With Ponpon here, clumsy at the helm, I do believe.
Okay, double cleave and then more damage.
Go kind of wild
Yeah.
and see what we got here.
Let's see what each of his abilities do.
I'm sure he's setting one up right
Passive
here right now.
for
what's
up to
that?
5
That's
seconds for vision of enemies. Whoa.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a sword. And eyes over there.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Oh, hi sword.
Oh.
What?
This is
Okay,
very
horn
different
knockback.
looking
Okay,
from what
I recognize that.
Yes.
So it is a teleport of some sort.
In a very good way.
What? How does it work?
These abilities, their animations, oh my lord.
Goodbye.
Yeah, where'd he go?
Later, bro. He's back. He's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. He just went through on a little trip. We'll talk about that later.
That was sick.
That was not expected.
I'm here for it, man. That was awesome. Okay.
Even with my camera,
We'll
no,
get to
it
that in a
was-
little bit,
just in
as we
case.
mentioned. One of the big things before we even get into the passive or his abilities.
He just yeeted him off the battleground.
Differently than a hunter we've done in the past.
Fitting for this year.
Yeah, exactly. So the big thing here for him is most hunters have a 1-1 chain, where basically if they have 1 attack speed, they'll fire a shot every second. It'll do 100% damage. Heimdallr has none of that. He has a hit chain of AAB, and the first 2 swings are at 1.3 speed, so they come out much slower, but they also hit at 130% of your basic attack power. The final one is an overhead hit, which does 150% damage at 1.5 speed. So you can see he's level 20. He's throwing these attacks out much slower than you'd expect a standard hunter to. Yeah. And the other thing you can notice is these first 2, the 130 ones or the 1.3 attack speed ones, they're cleaving. So you can see that Odin is being hit for about half, 33% of the damage total.
That's pretty solid lane pressure, though.
So he has 2 cleaving attacks with these sidearm axe throws into a very heavy hitting single target attack.
So when we talk about low attack speed hunters, we think about like Ho Yi, who's got one of the lowest in the class. Heimdallr, far below even Ho Yi.
So his base stat is actually similar to other hunters in regards to the attack speed you have, but it takes 1.3 seconds to actually come out.
I was gonna say, it doesn't matter if the chain's different. The
you have
chain's
to do a
slower.
little bit of math to figure out how fast they actually come out, but essentially he's just attacking, 30% slower on average, and his final attack is going to be 50% slower than other hunters.
But he's hitting that. It's a 1-to-1 conversion of this much longer to this much more power.
Correct.
So attack speed is not generally the best word to use, but it's actually animation time.
Yes.
His abilities take longer animations on each throw, but their power scaling is higher. So yes, Heimdallr is essentially like mini critting on every single throw.
Yeah.
Which means crit would be interesting as well.
I'm here for it. Okay.
Because there's like
start
300%
with
scaling.
The passive, then, shall we? The Vigilant. Of course, with his eyesight being so good, that seems like a natural direction to go with the passive.
Correct. And so that's what we wanted to focus on. We want to, and you'll see this kit, we wanted to bring vision as a theme. It's
they
not
counted
something you can
that.
build a whole kit around on its own, but
Rip.
it's a nice thing to actually kind of bring in as a whole. And so basically, whenever Heimdallr has vision on anyone for any reason, if they leave that vision range, he just gets to continue seeing them for 4 seconds. So if they walk over a ward and they leave that ward range, he'll continue revealing them for 4 seconds to himself. He can continue to see that. And for everyone he has vision on, he gets additional physical power scaling. 3%
We can see that at the bottom right now.
So he wants
Shows
vision
up
on
and
as many people
disappears.
as he can
No,
get,
it's just
and
gone.
that increases
Yeah.
his power overall. And I know, Nick, we actually had to like do a whole bunch of stuff to get vision working, because that's not something we ever really like mess around with, like on vision loss.
Yeah, like the trick here is like the passive gives him vision, but he gains those stacks of passive when he loses vision. So it's kind of like this chicken and egg question of like, when he loses his passive vision, does he gain another stack? No, we have to like really code up like some interesting solutions here of making sure that like he pretty much has eyes on everybody on the map at all times.
Sure. I already have a proposed buff for Heimdallr. We should let him ping more than other characters. I'm gonna have my Heimdallr ping where everyone's going at all times.
Now he can't see everybody that well, but yeah, he can. He does get a bit of advantage, and we actually have that mixed into a couple different abilities here, a couple different various
how much power does he actually
tweaks
get?
on the vision mechanic, because we know that was something.
Oh,
that
like
the
3
community
power
was
per
expecting
target?
for this character.
15
so
power?
You'll see that throughout the kit.
Sure. Also have a note here
Yep.
in the passive that he's got something special with critical strike.
Yeah, so this is kind of just the more balanced technical talk, is having 150% scaling attacks that can crit is just nuts and would break everything. And so we had a caveat where he actually only gets 70% bonus damage on critical strikes.
Okay.
The way the math kind of works out, essentially, crit is still very good on him. You can go crit build, it's still very successful.
Is
he
it really?
does scale a bit in terms of like raw DPS potential with crit, a little bit higher than other hunters, but it's not as crazy as it could be.
With the longer animation, is it really?
50% scaling base.
Because somebody else could quit twice in the same time.
A little bit, like the damage would go above 1,000.
Especially you go through a Deathbringer in there.
Yeah.
That would be really having a bad time.
Think like Naja last hit of attack chain crits, right? We're talking 4 digits pretty easily. All right, we're going to go through the abilities now. We're going to start with, of course, number 1, which is...
It's just a single hit that hits a lot, but the DPS should not be higher.
This sword earlier,
I have to look into that.
I've completely forgotten. I'm going to go with Hofuth?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did I get it?
I mean, it's really technical to get it fully right. You're close enough.
All right, thank you. That's all I was looking for.
And so this sword is the Sword of Heimdallr, translates to the Head of Heimdallr. And we wanted to bring a sword ability in the game that felt a bit unique, different than other
Oh,
sword
I thought he's
abilities
going to have a
we
melee attack.
And for a Vision God, it feels like he could use his sword to actually augment his vision. So what he does is he takes the sword and throws it into the sky. And when it's thrown into the sky, you can see that whole circle is his reveal range. And he can actually, he reveals to himself anyone caught in that range. And he can keep it up there for 10 seconds. You can see it's up there for a long time. Yeah. And then at any point after it's been thrown in the air,
Gang
you can
counter.
select the ground location, and you'll see it actually pivots and turns and comes crashing down onto that target location.
So, is it these enemies would only be revealed to him, not his whole team?
Correct.
Okay.
So he sees them, and then obviously when the sword goes away, the passive triggers in, he gets to see for 4 more seconds. But yeah, this is his ability to, hey, maybe I go check Fire Giant, maybe instead of just walking and face checking it, I can throw the sword, get some vision ahead of time, and then plan
It's such a
accordingly
big
if I wanna bring
area.
the sword down on anyone, or just leave it as kind of a mini ward for 10 seconds, essentially.
Yeah, definitely a very strong ability in the higher levels of gameplay for sure. Excited to see the ramifications there. Now, if you eventually, will it just go wherever your targeter is whenever the time expires?
Nope, so it will fade. It'll just kind of blip out if you choose not to use it. But the thing here is that you can notice there's no other casting range indicator on this ability. So if you were to do something like maybe do what Clumsy did at the start, which was kind of warp to the middle of the lane, and you placed it in your base, it went as far as you could go. So as far as you can move in that 10-second period, you get to move around and place it wherever you want. So if you
The gank potential.
You can throw a sword from across the map, and it'll come zooming across, and you'll see everything.
I can hear the cogs turning, and the guys who do those arena videos that they post to Reddit of the crazy one-shots that they do. I got a chance to meet one of them at Worlds. Yeah, they're going to have some fun with this one, it seems like.
This character just has a lot of very interesting applications for his abilities. That's kind of the main goal of making this hunter that feels a little different here. So this ability is...
Man, you should really shout them out with a name. It's Brutal McLeany time. Come on, like...
it's being used to scout.
If you shout them out in the patch notes, just say their names, man. It helps them.
Sure. But its shape and size doesn't allow it to easily clear wave. It's only going to hit about half the minions. And honestly, its damage ramping is a little on the low end for maybe a normal hunter ranged attack.
Yeah, once he gets his scaling going, his passive going, it can hurt a lot, but other standard range poke that you have in lane is a little bit lower.
Sure, okay. Let's move on to another legendary item that Heimdallr is known for, of course, the Gjallarhorn. This we saw a little bit of whenever...
Is it Gjallarhorn or Gjallarhorn? Comment below.
The abilities that I had the most fun using whenever I got a chance to play Heimdallr a couple weeks ago. It feels right to be blowing this giant horn as Heimdallr.
Yeah, it's the iconic weapon. It's the thing.
Okay, so it's a pushback first and then a knockback or something?
And so we want to make sure that we had that power behind it. So you can see it has like a really meaty sound effect to it. And basically anyone who's caught in that initial cone is so disoriented from the blast that their movement speed and attack speed are actually being reduced. And while he's channeling this, he has knock-up immunity as well as some protections that he can actually get in forward, because he wants to walk towards his enemy. He wants to be close to his enemy, because when it finishes or when he cancels it on his own, he actually unleashes a final blow. He kind of has this rising note that happens and knocks people away. So you can slow people, get
Honestly, you don't really want to get close to them because the knockback
or if someone's just jumped
distance isn't even bigger.
A quick blast to knock them away from you to get some extra safety.
And it seems like you don't switch back to your weapon quickly. Nah, it's okay.
Tool, I would imagine, but also can be used pretty offensively.
Oh, okay, no,
so
you can still
though
throw the weapon,
you're
it doesn't
trying to chase
animate.
Someone, you can slow them down a little bit so you can
Comes
get
from
in
there.
range. If someone's jumped you, you can knock them back. If you want to play it a more kind of warrior style where you go more forward, you can just use this as disruption. A lot of flexible applications here to this ability.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, you're hitting the majority of a team fight for sure with this ability. So an AoE slow, certainly not something that, I mean, Onher has been doing it for how long and has been very successful with it. All right, I think it's time we move on to the Bifrost, because this is one that I'm sure we're going to spend some time on.
What everyone's been waiting for.
Wait, I thought the ult was also part of that.
Definitely the one that requires
Never
the most
mind.
technical work.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, maybe
I'm
besides the
questions
ultimate. Yeah, I
for
guess
this
we'll find out for now.
The ultimate probably took a bit more, but this one has a
Kill
lot
it
going
both.
to it. So the Bifrost. This ability has some interesting things going on, but first is you place a location on the map. So you'll place one fragment. Then when you place a second fragment, so one's already been placed on the map, but when you place a second one, you can see the colors changed. They become linked. And when this crystal is open, it's active. Heimdallr can use it to teleport between the two locations. And when you walk into it, you'll see the crystal close around you and you'll go. Now, that's only the first part of it. The second part is this doesn't have a range limit. You can use this globally. But the way we balance this ability is the further away they are, when you use it, the longer it takes to close around Heimdallr and the longer it goes on cooldown. At rank 1, if you use this to go from lane to base, it will actually be 210 seconds cooldown to use.
Which is basically a relic.
Correct.
Right.
Or if you use it as just a short hop in lane, more like a traditional movement ability, it's going to be more on a traditional movement cooldown. So you can see, because he's ranked it up, it's only 50 seconds here.
Oh.
But you can see the cooldown scales and how long it takes to actually travel and start traveling changes based on the distance. So the cooldown was fun to write because the cooldown's listed as variable.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm sure that was
Oh my god, he's trying to yell Bifrost. Okay,
So,
Bifrost from now
not
on.
only does your time that you have to wait until the crystal's active, which you can see on the passive meter.
Correct.
But also the cooldown of the ability is longer.
So you
based
can,
on how far you travel.
So you can place fragments whenever you want.
Oh,
It's
There is no cooldown really on placing
I
the
understand.
fragments.
Yes.
It's all about the traveling. You can reposition them all you'd like.
Gotcha.
And that's what the colors are there to help you remember which one you're going to position next. It always alternates back and forth. It's more of a reminder to help you make sure you understand which one you're switching.
And you can see that's probably like one of the coolest tech things we've done in terms of the material is that.
I feel like you're not going to use it as a teleport because then you
there's a lot that
completely give up your escape.
The technical effects here, like Andrew might really killed it with like these rainbow effects.
Unless you
I
play
really
super
love
safe,
this, like,
but-
rainbow haze around the crystals and this warbling effect before it explodes. Like it's also magical.
It's so good because when I play tested this, it was very early on, and it was just like Giannis portal that you. I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to do this, and I don't know how you really convey this to me when I'm actually able to do it. But perfect. I mean, it's so clear on when I can use this and when I can't. And this is only for Heimdallr, correct?
Correct. Only Heimdallr can take this.
Right.
I feel like I'm always going to overdo the escape.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just put it behind the,
Even if you're a god, you can't just be
the tower, put it in the
So
jungle or
this ability
something,
has a
and
lot of
then it's like,
unique
oh no, I went
applications.
too
Of course,
far.
You can kind of use it as a Jingwei or Chernobog return to lane, but that's going to have a really long cooldown if you do it. And if you do that, you're going to essentially prevent yourself from having an ability or having any sort of escape or mobility for a really long time.
Sure.
Mhm.
In many cases, that can actually be a trap. In many cases, it can be strategically smart. You can also use it to rotate between lanes very quickly. So if you go and drop this in your mid lane, the opposing mid laner will have to be worried about the threat of Heimdallr at any moment just showing up.
Yeah, you
to
just put
fight
it on
you.
its tower line.
You just drop it there, and they have to be afraid.
I'm just going to say he's a jungler.
Really, you get into a very interesting skill expression through this ability by
You can travel
using it
way more
in
freely.
combat and using it in closer ranges. You know, it's a good way to use this ability.
You get the
is to drop
vision.
it kind of closely near
You get the
your tower line,
knockback when an
and then
enemy,
keep
like
the
if you
other
get
one
an enemy from the back.
unplaced, or you know, you could have it placed someplace else. But be
And you
ready
have
to
cleaves
replace
for
it.
clearing.
So if you get jumped, you drop it on
And you
yourself,
can yeet enemies,
step
apparently.
into it, and port yourself out really quick.
How long? Let's say I'm pushed to the.
But I
enemy
want every
tower
god to be a
line,
jungle, so it
my
doesn't
portal
count.
Is next to my own tier 1 tower.
So one whole lane,
Yeah.
dual
one
lane
lane.
length.
How long channel time do I have to stand in the portal?
I would guess, knowing the size of that, probably about 1.2 to 1.5 seconds of standing still in it. We actually had one playtest where Bacchus ulted me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be out of here, no problem. And I like had to let go of the keyboard because I was just flexing. And then I tremble walked out of it, and they killed me. I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
that actually took too long.
Knockups and trembles and pushes and pulls can pull him out of his teleport area, so they're a very good way. Knockups, god like Bacchus, a great way to counter Heimdallr, because when he's trying to escape, you can belly flop him. It'll reset the timer,
Gotcha.
it knocks him out of the area.
If he's stunned, will he still go through?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's really fun at Heimdallr to just stand in your thing, just fighting and fighting to the death, hoping that someone is going to die or you'll be evacuated before you die.
Definitely doesn't
So
look
you
like it's
can
gonna be
really-
quick.
Once you get the hang of the cooldown and get actually the ability to use this in combat, by the way, is very difficult.
Yes.
It takes some
Yes.
practice, and I mean, even after a few playtests, I was still a little rusty at it. But once you get the hang of it, you can do some really cool things. You can able to evacuate Heimdall out
Huh?
of combat scenarios.
Never mind, actually.
If you prepare
Can be
properly,
quick.
you can
Yes.
really make some really cool power plays, and then kind of rescue yourself.
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, as with it max rank, an 18-second cooldown to go as far as we're going is really not that different from a traditional dash. It's just really, it's really good. But in the early game, you have to be, I think, much more cognizant of where you're using
That
it.
short distance just there was 14 seconds, you know,
Yeah.
so it is, you can use it like that, but you can also use it
Yeah, but it's also without
Sure.
CDR.
And speaking of other ways, this ability has one more feature.
Yeah, we tripled down on the vigilance theme here, and the beam between the two fragments reveals enemies.
No
Acts
way.
as a tripwire.
And so it reveals enemies to Heimdall specifically for the brief time that they're crossing over it.
but it
does
does
that trigger his passive as well?
Yes, it does.
So they get extended a little bit of vision too.
Dude, that is so cool.
So you can also use these more in the jungle.
From one side of the map
lane
to the other.
to kind of keep your lane warded, as well as have a path for you to escape or aggress.
Tripwire 2 lanes from solo
it's
to
really
duo.
interesting to see how players actually use
See
this.
if anyone comes on your side of the jungle.
This ability is so high.
It's a hard to use ability.
Wouldn't
it's
be a
straight up
pom-pom
hard.
god if there wasn't something really hard about it, you know?
No.
It just wouldn't fit.
I mean, the 1 and the 2, once you get the hang of, I mean, the 2 definitely
That
takes
would
some
be
trickiness with planting the board in the
interesting.
right place and then leading people, because it's a bit of a slow warm-up on that damage.
Sure.
The real key with the 2 is either finding people that perfect max range, if you're going to play him Hunter, and you can just poke people at max range and do a pretty good job harassing and damaging a lot of
If you
people.
play him Hunter.
You get the hang of that. Sure. But the 3 is going to take some galaxy brains out there to figure out exactly what's the best way to use it.
Oh, well, then all of Reddit should be fine. Time for the ultimate, everybody.
I'm sure everyone on Reddit will think that they'll be just using it back from base and that they've broken the character, and then they'll realize that they're down an ability for 250
Yeah, and
seconds.
then a jungler
just get
ganks them and they're
killed.
just done.
It is actively against your best interest to do that too often.
Do
but-
you, if I die while that is on cooldown, does it reset, or is it still...
It keeps ticking down.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
doesn't just reset on death. All right.
Next level strat. Suicide to minion wave.
I think the ultimate is probably the coolest part.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Pon.
through the realms, this was actually the part of the kit we had to just get very early prototyping, get everyone on board, because this required the environment team, which we normally don't involve the environment team in like god design necessarily.
Yeah, that's who
because-
makes like maps.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So this ability, you charge forward and you stun the first god that you hit. If you hit a god, they'll be stunned as well, and Heimdall will like wind up a really, really heavy accent and just launch them into the sky. And you can see they've gone through a portal and they're not there anymore. And they're gonna come back and you can hit them. So you just remove them from the match, launch them in the sky, they go through a portal, and about 3 seconds later they're going to return on that ground spot that's marked through that blue portal. But that's not all.
Yeah, they took away the fire and
Now,
ice
where do
effect
they
though.
go?
Just take damage.
They actually go.
Where do they go?
Yeah, they go to Muspelheim and Niflheim. So
Oh.
they actually are currently, while they're out of the map,
That's the
they're
fine
being
ice.
burned by the fires of Muspelheim and chilled by the cold winds of Niflheim. And they will experience that as a full
Somebody said that
3D
you
environment
can
they
reach
fly through.
all 9 dimensions or whatever.
So you
Wait,
can
is this
see
environment new on this arena map, by the way?
Good
no,
call.
this is the since the arena update earlier this year. It's been like this.
Oh, maybe I'm not running in this area very much.
Yeah.
Yep, I think we're ready to show it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So hitting someone is fun, but getting hit is almost cooler.
Oh, no.
We broke it. How did you break it?
No, we broke
Oh.
it.
Okay.
Ah.
We expected this might happen with having too many Heimdalls and firing the ultimate many times in short succession.
I was gonna say that looked a bit
We gotta
underwhelming.
Reload the map real quick.
Yeah, so you might
We'll
have to
make sure we
reload.
can see it.
Yeah, let's we can go ahead and do that. Bring it back to us real quick so we
We'll
can
make
get
sure
that
we
all
get
ready
to
for
see
you.
that before we
I
go.
think
You're gonna want to see
the
this.
easiest way to do it because Clumsy's in the back doing it right now. If you just head to jungle practice and pick Heimdall, that should resolve the issue. You should be able to see it.
Okay.
Obviously, this has a lot of technical things going on.
Yes.
In PTS, there's also going to be a few issues that we're already aware of and working on fixing it. But we want to show you as much best as we can the full realized version of this ability.
I've been hit by this ult multiple times in full-scale Conquest playtests and haven't seen that specific visuals
Yeah,
there.
that issue
so.
is mostly tied to our dev procedures of using switch class.
Right.
So
Yes.
like
Ah.
changing
yeah.
characters.
That's
causes
probably
nonsense.
what happened.
Yeah,
That's
because
probably what happened.
loading and unloading that environment as characters come in and out.
Yes,
There's
very,
nothing-
Many
very
people
odd.
ask us all the time, why can't we just switch between gods like without leaving the lobby in jungle practice? That's why.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we'd
Weird
have to
stuff.
change our complete
still
architecture to loading things.
wish we could.
But this ultimate is really amazing. It's really cool. It's got a few interesting aspects besides just the visuals.
Yes.
Sure.
As a kind of banish ultimate, it also has a new piece of tech in that it semi-randomizes the re-entry location.
Yes.
So they do not return to the exact spot they were before. In the arena where it's a little bit open, you can track them down easier. In Conquest, they might appear around a corner or something like that, so you have to be
Oh, what?
kind of more careful and more vigilant
Nicely
to find where that character is going to return to make sure you can finish off the final damage if they don't die from the ultimate itself.
Yeah,
But
the
there is a landing location targeter
Correct.
from the very beginning.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you just have to.
So you
hunt
have
that
time
down a
to
little
go
bit.
to go find that. for
and
sure.
it's always right in front of you, like within like a 60-degree angle, 75-degree angle.
Yeah, it's like I think it's 60-degree angle cone, about 60 feet
Okay.
in front of you. Anywhere in that range, they can fall. But
Still
if
a fair amount
they
of-
might be overall. You might have to go hunt them down. Throw up your sword and start looking around.
Sure. That'll
And
help
when
you out
we
for
were
sure.
designing Heimdall, we were trying to think of the things that are.
Well, you can't
that
see the
fit
entry
within
location.
thematically.
You can't see the guard there
Vigilance,
though yet.
obviously, we used his
So
artifacts,
Sodom won't
his
do much until he's
Bifrost, his
there.
weapons and stuff. But also just the concept of the travel between the Norse realms and these 9 worlds of Norse mythology. It's just a really cool mythological story point, all of these different worlds and how they're interconnected in Norse mythology. And we've always wanted to do some sort of like banish you to the Shadow Realm, new environment type of thing for a god kit. So we found out that this just fit really well on this god.
100%.
And now we can home run.
It just cranked up Kukulkan.
Yeah, back to your regularly scheduled.
Let's see
meeting.
if we've got the proper. There we
go.
Oh,
there it is.
Okay, that looks really nice.
You can see there's a lot of camera stuff going on there. It's panning. There's actually like an FOV effect that's happening there. There's just a lot of tech.
I wish you would be fighting him in there, but
look the way that
this is pretty cool.
Present the way that it does, and I mean, this took the whole team coming together to actually get this to work the way that it does,
Yeah,
and
we
like.
got a whole big piece of new technology here because we
Oh,
have
you can
this
turn
whole
around.
environment for Heimdall loaded in, and you know that's not a cheap memory cost for us. You know, we have a whole separate map.
Oh, Clumsy's, you can actually rotate the
you can
home
aim
run
it.
bat hit.
Oh,
After
like
a successful
Kukulkan.
hit, you can rotate it to the direction of your choice.
Yeah, if you want to bat him in a certain direction.
To find that sweet spot.
Yeah. So I will say, you know, a lot of times.
What was it, the 360 no scope Heimdall alt?
We are sometimes, we get to come in and be like, you guys are like, hey, we're doing this god in the
Too fast,
future. What should we do for the ultimate and that kind of stuff? I feel like every single time we're like, yo, we should get another cinematic alt in the game. We want more Naja alts, everything like that. And every time it's like, that'd be cool if we could do it for every god, but it's just so difficult to execute properly and tech-wise. This is the perfect area, I think, to pull out the stops and really pull it out. And the execution looks just
One
awesome.
of my favorite bits of theming about that ability, too, is that you're traveling through these realms of fire and ice.
Yeah.
And so instead of just taking damage right up front, they apply like a fire burn and an ice slow to you. And actually, when you return
So you're
to
gonna
the
ult and
map
then
you're
teleport?
on, you're still burning and slowed
from
your trip.
Yeah.
So you actually have something, a little souvenir to take with you from Muspelheim and Niflheim.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to recover from that kind of journey.
Now, here's my high-level question that I don't even think I should be asking. When I ult them, can I then set up my attack chain to big auto them perfectly in that time?
So the play is probably to ult, throw your sword
there you
up,
go.
get to the final hit of the hit chain, throw the final hit of the hit chain so it's going to land right when they actually land. Do the horn knockback into another basic attack into the sword crashing down. If you can get all that set up for free and no one's going to stop you, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, you're gonna kill people for sure.
It's risky though, right? This is a forward charge, which is something along with his like slightly tankier stats and the idea that he might be able to flex into more of a hybrid role. This ultimate puts him in danger when he wants to hit someone. It's really good at picking someone, but it's
so
risky.
good at countering ganks, though.
It can be beadsed during the warm up by enemies.
Hey, he sees you when
There's
you're
a relatively
coming
long time there
with
to
all
bead
this
it
vision
down.
stuff.
And of course, though, it could also be used as emergency exit escape.
And then
The
he knocks you
character
back with his horn, and then he yeets you away.
Use it in that way. So
Like, how are you gonna
it can be
chase
used in
him?
that way as well.
Yeah, I think
Frostbound
it's one of the
Heimdall
larger windows.
is just not gonna die.
Kukulkan hits you instantly. Naja has a small window, but until he actually connects with that axe, you have all that time to beads. There is
camera
a
tricks
good
look
amount of
great.
damage up front, though, for just connecting, correct?
Yeah, so just connecting it does a lot of damage. We did that because we knew that we wanted to have a larger beads window because we were going to be banishing you for so long. And so it hits pretty hard up front. But the fall damage when you do succeed is nothing to laugh at either.
Yeah, I think one of the things that stood out to me back then, you can correct me if it's changed since then, is that he's got pretty solid scaling on basically every ability. Maybe the 1 was a little bit lower, but the 2 had pretty high scaling, and the ultimate certainly did.
Yeah, so he has relatively high scaling. The 2 has it mostly because it's a channel. Channels tend to have higher scaling because you have to be, especially as a hunter, right? You're sacrificing basic attacks.
Yeah.
The 1 got a bit more scaling over development as a whole. He does work really well with power as well as that passive scales with it. He works well with a traditional hunter build, and we've also seen some experimentation with people flexing into more of like this kind of bruiser Heimdall.
Yeah, I can
that
see the
tries to go
bruiser.
in, and
He has to melee a lot anyways. Like,
and we'll see what people just choose to do with him. I think all of them are pretty functional. I personally prefer the more hunter method, just because I feel like having those just meaty, like it is so satisfying to be in lane and like land a super chunky third hit on the hunter when you trade. And
Feels
like
really good.
You get hit for like 80 damage and then you hit them for like 130 and they're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
They
so
are chunky.
It feels so He's very refreshing to play as a hunter. He does not feel like any other hunter, but you can tell he is of the hunter class, I think is the best way that I can put it. We're going to try and do the voice pack, though I am
Did you just say I see? Wow.
Dip our toe in the water and see if that works.
I do not hate you. It is simply my duty to stop you.
Be quiet.
We could be sharing tales over some warm mead. Such a waste of effort. Your heart, it beats with fear and cowardice.
Isn't that kind of messed up that he uses the horn that's supposed to signal Ragnarok for a little bit of a joke?
I think it's one of our best taunt animations of all
It will
time.
be fun, they said. Well, no more. I still have to repair the pillar Ymir crashed into.
Yeah, Smite card was a lot.
I must always keep an ear listening for threats.
Wait, did he actually make a Smite card joke?
It's easier if Thor didn't insist on eating a diet rich in beans. Attack! Attack, fire giant!
This god's it's just the best. This god is just awesome.
Paul, you want to give us a little bit
What-
more background on that
what was-
voice?
Yeah,
What?
so
What's that?
we actually had to iterate quite a bit because we wanted to try and get a more authentic kind of Norse accent, which is kind of difficult to represent. There's a lot of different variations on it in pop culture.
It's also ancient, so no one necessarily knows exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, so you have to like kind of like dig into like a lot of like really like deep stuff to try and figure out how things are pronounced. And so we went back and forth a lot on that, but we tried to make sure that we were closer to authentic than we have been for traditionally other Norse characters. As well as just we wanted to make his personality kind of shine through on the voice pack, so you can see when he was joking around and when he was kind of like taunting. Some of them were like disappointed that like he's not being his jovial self. He didn't welcome someone as an ally, and instead now he has to face you as an enemy. But he's going to do it because if that's what the situation calls for, if he needs to take up his axe and wield it, he's going to do that to protect the Bifrost. But if you change your mind and want some more mead, he's all for that.
The voice sounds great. It was difficult to find this good pronunciation, and actually this will be a fun challenge for you casters. He pronounces his name in the more correct manner, which is something like Heimdallr, whereas we've just all been calling him Heimdall. So it can be your old Hebo Habwa. Y'all can pick which ones you want. If some of you
It's
want
just
to
funny
be
that they
English
went
correct,
with
or if some of you just
Bifrost for
want
his 3 then, but
pronounce it the easy way
because
so
he
people
says
know
it
what
as
you're
well.
talking
But
about.
I go back and forth, and I know that's the worst of all the options.
You have to pick one.
I know. I have to pick one.
I'm pretty firmly in the Heimdall. I'm going to use the English pronunciation, the modern English pronunciation of things. But we have a lot of people that really appreciate the correct pronunciation. And this character is just filled with so much.
that's the only thing he
character.
says more often,
This
so
is
I
his
don't know why they
recolor.
did that one.
He is described as the Shining One, which is why his base is very white and very bright. It's why when he fires his ultimate, he starts to glow like hot, bright white. And then for the recolor, we wanted to give a little bit more like modern, darker interpretation of him. And this just looks just straight up badass. Am I right?
Reminds me of the trailer for sure, where he's throwing the axe around and has that sort of trail to it, like we can see in this card art.
I think I like the recolor better.
It's amazing.
I do also
actually
want
like
to give
both.
a shout out to Andrew, the effects artist who worked on Heimdall.
Looks amazing anyways.
He knows a lot about Norse mythology. He's very into Norse mythology, and he actually took a lot of time in. You can see like the targeter effects are very ornate and really like handcrafted. The runes on them are like accurate to like he actually tried to go out and research and find the accurate representation of various aspects that are being conveyed by the ability. And so you can see those runes around there. Those are more than just flavor. Or
They
like,
have meaning.
They have meaning.
I don't know what they all are, but he would he can tell you.
That is so cool.
And his runes he uses to mark the Bifrost portals.
Spoilers for
are
the next
first
god.
and last letter of the ancient runic alphabet. So it's like A to Z, traveling from A to Z.
Yeah, there's a lot of love in these effects.
Yeah, that's
and
what
they
those
came
mean.
out really, really well.
I just didn't want to put
So
you
there's
guys
a
on the
lot.
spot.
This character is just filled with so much detail and theme into every ability and every animation. It's awesome.
Somebody's
This
gonna
is,
translate all of that.
mastery art.
Yep, this is the mastery art for the gold skin, of course. I think that when there is a character that everyone has been requesting, like Heimdall, I imagine that you guys feel a little bit more pressure to do what the fans maybe not expect, but what they might want to be delivered. I feel like they should be blown away with Heimdall. He's so much fun to play, and just as complicated as every pawn god needs to be. You know?
Yeah, you got to throw the 3 in there.
There is a good bit of pressure. We try really hard to meet expectations and then still find some way to surprise. Like we want to do both.
Okay, no, gold doesn't work for him.
I know
the
like
blue
one of the
horns.
most common community pitches was a guardian that makes more wards, and I was like, nah, we're gonna do something more than that.
But AJ, everyone loves warding.
I know, right?
They love it so much.
My Reddit pitch: ability 1, he makes a ward. Ability 2, he makes a different shaped ward.
A century
I
ward.
read so many of those, and I was like, we're gonna make Vision a thing, but we're gonna do it in some more interesting ways. And I feel really good about where we ended up. And combining the hunter aspect, I just think this type of character fits really well with an aggressive character because it gets you really good balance. If you were just tanking and warding, that doesn't really. I mean, of course you can be very impactful with tanking and warding, but a lot of our tanks, they do other stuff.
Oh yeah.
So this character I think would have struggled in that regard. So I'm very happy with the hunter decision, and I just think he's going to be really fun.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be great, man. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on Heimdallr. Of course, if you want to know more about the PTS and all that kind of stuff, Smite Game on Twitter is the best place for that information.
Should be up soon.
Yeah.
Should be up this afternoon.
Yeah, we were trying to because of Thanksgiving. That's why it's a day early here, and we also wanted people to play on BTS before Thanksgiving, so we have times to get information.
It's always possible on BTS might be a day.
Yeah, you never really know. We want to make sure that you can talk about Heimdallr around the dinner table for Thanksgiving. You know, the typical family conversations that everyone has.
Please don't do that.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving at home. Make sure you eat lots of turkey and mashed potatoes. And we'll see you next time here on the Update Show.
All right, and with that, we gotta mute this music because they always do that. Interesting patch notes. Good changes overall. Heimdallr, very, very interesting. I'm very excited for him. I kind of wish they would have gone with the melee approach to his sword as well. Just pulls out his sword and swings that as well for the one. But I think they did a good job of that overall. We're going to test him in PTS as soon as it's up, and I'm very excited for that. And with that, thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, feel free to sub button with the bell, and I will probably see you for the patch notes review or for Heimdallr's first look. DukeSloth out.